We're starting the live broadcast here. If you are joining us, welcome to the Bite Back Tour in the city of San Dimas. And I'm making sure all the streams are live and it looks like we're good to go. So if you're watching, this is the Bite Back Tour in the city of San Dimas. You're probably watching us live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or also on our website. If you have any questions or any comments at all, please feel free to drop it into the comment box. We will be monitoring it and answering your questions as we go. If you're on our website, there is a form right below this video that you can submit your question to. If you want a direct answer from us, feel free to drop in your email. So with that, let's start off with introductions. My name is Levy Sun. I am here at the San Gabriel Valley Mosquito and Vector Control District, and we'll go around clockwise in a circle. Allie, why don't you go ahead and start?
Thanks, Levy. Hi, everyone. My name is Ali Gaspar, and I'm the outreach assistant here at the district. And I'm also currently in San Dimas in front of City Hall.
Looks like a beautiful day out there.
It is really lovely, but it's also a good day for mosquitoes to bite.
Yes, good point. Yes. Christian, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christian Luna, and I'm one of the education specialists here at the district.
Okay, and Pablo.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pablo Cabrera, and I'm the communication specialist here at the district.
Okay, and potentially joining us today are several special guests, possibly from other departments. So we'll bring them in as they pop up. But let's go ahead and open up with the big news that West Nile virus is officially widespread in San Gabriel Valley, including in San Dimas. So not going to tell you how to feel, but everyone should at least take the necessary precautions to protect themselves. But we'll give you some more tips on that today. We do have one special question that came in from a resident last week. And the question asks, or is stated as, I'm planning on re-landscaping my yard. What plants can I select to be natural repellents to the Asian tiger mosquito, also known as Aedes albopictus? So a quick answer is, there is no right plant that can actually effectively repel these Aedes mosquitoes, or any mosquitoes for that matter. It's actually what you put in your landscape that deters them from actually wanting to rest there. So we'll get into that in just a bit, but there's another teaser I want to point out that another question we get often is, those mosquito traps I buy in the store, do they actually work? Stay tuned and wait until the end, because we will go ahead and provide you with that answer. But first, let's circle back to the first question of just making sure we don't have any mosquitoes around my yard and about landscaping. So let's talk about the management of mosquitoes. Everyone knows we got to eliminate stagnant water, because that's where mosquitoes grow. And that's where, if you were to look into any stagnant water source, like a bucket or pool, you might see some wiggly things in there that are larvae or pupae tumbling around. And I don't know, Pablo, if you have any visuals on that, but we can do a quick peek at these little bloodsuckers as in larval form.
I have some live action for you here.
So what are we looking at?
What that is right there.
That's a crazy egg raft.
That's right. That is an egg raft laid specifically by Culex mosquitoes. And there's actually, and it's estimated about 150 to 200 eggs can be laid in just this one egg raft alone. And out of that egg raft, in just a few days, any guesses into how long the mosquito life cycle lasts?
8 years.
I've heard residents say 30 days.
I'm going to say a week.
A week, that's right, Christian. I think that's why you're the education specialist. It takes a week for mosquitoes to go from egg, which was what we're looking at right here, to adults, which are the ones that we're all more familiar with. But in between that cycle, we see these guys, the larvae, which you see swimming around in there. Those are the mosquito larvae. So after they emerge out of the egg, they turn into these. And after their larval stage is their pupa stage. I don't have any pupa with me here. That's their final stage before adults. But these are the most common ones that we tend to see in stagnant water areas. And people tend to mistaken them for other water animals. Any guesses to what people confuse these as sometimes?
They
I've
look kind
heard.
of like tadpoles to me.
I would say tadpoles because I hear that a lot.
Same, yeah.
That is very true. A lot of people think that these mosquito larvae are tadpoles and don't want to kill them or hurt them or anything. We would say the contrary. You should tip out that stagnant water and toss out that source. Mosquito larvae and the mosquito life cycle in general needs stagnant water in order to survive and continue their life cycle. So if I were to dump out this water on the cement and have it just dry out, that would eliminate these larvae, because each one of these larvae that you see here, once they're adults, they are ready to get their blood meal and potentially spread viruses out there, just like Westall virus. So if we're able to eliminate these sources, that makes a huge difference in reducing the threat of vector-borne diseases.
Pablo, if I find these in my backyard, are they dangerous? Like, will they bite me
No,
in this form?
So that's actually a very good question. No, they're virtually harmless. They're actually very fragile, to be honest. They need the stagnant water. You can touch them. I don't know if you can see my finger here. They won't do anything. They won't bite you. They can't. I'm probably going to squish them more than anything else. And if I take them out of the water, they'll just dry up. So again, they're harmless. They don't do anything. It's once they're adult mosquitoes, that's when they're dangerous, because when they blood feed on us, that's when they can transmit a vector-borne disease to us and give us those itchy bites that nobody is a fan of.
Pablo, when you were tapping your finger in there, I just got this crazy idea of a mosquito petting zoo. Clearly not ever going to happen, but it's just so funny seeing you try and pet one of these. And then if you're just tuning in, this is the Bite Back Tour in the city of San Dimas. And we're joined here with Pablo, who was just talking and showing off actual live mosquitoes in the water. We're joined by Ali and Christian and myself. And I see Jimena. Are you on with us? I see. Oh, there you are. And I think you're muted.
Oh, and there's Kim.
Oh, Kim's there. You guys are out in the field.
Yes. Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Could you guys really quickly just introduce yourselves for the audience?
Yes. Hi. My name is Jimena. I'm an assistant vector ecologist. And my name is Kim, and I'm a vector ecologist.
And you are where are you?
We're up in a near flood control area up in the foothills. And we're checking one of our traps. This is a rotator trap. So we came up here just to collect it. It's been out for 24 hours. And we're going to go take it back to the lab and ID and see what we collected.
All right. Well, stay tuned for a bit, everyone. If you're watching, we're going to circle back to Jimena and Kim. What a treat to have them both on the show with us. We'll circle back to them to have them discuss a little bit more about what they do. But for now, let's go back to the discussion of the first question regarding landscaping. So now that you know about getting rid of stagnant water, we also have to think about how we landscape around our home, which also includes getting rid of any dense vegetation. Based on a lot of feedback we get and what we see around San Dimas, a lot of yards, both front and back, have very dense vegetation. And when I say dense, I mean, you got big tropical looking plants with big waxy leaves, a lot of ivy crawling through the neighborhoods. And these are perfect places for mosquitoes to rest there during really hot temperatures. So like this past week and the week after, we're going to see some really high temperatures. If your yard looks like this, or you have anything like this around your yard, you're most likely going to be holding a lot of mosquitoes trying to beat the heat. So to prevent this from happening, we always say, and I think Ali, you said this, you coined this term, ditch the density. So to ditch the density.
Cut what covers.
Exactly. That way there's more airflow, there's less humidity, and these mosquitoes, whether they're these invasive Aedes mosquitoes that don't belong here or the native Culex mosquitoes, they will not want to come onto your yard if it's too dry or there's not enough escape from the heat.
And Levy, why do these mosquitoes look for shady areas?
Great question. Mosquitoes are generally really terrible at regulating their body temperatures. So they seek out areas where they can rest and escape, because otherwise, in really hot temperatures here in San Gabriel Valley and around San Dimas, they can die off if they can't find a safe place to hide out.
Wow. Yeah. So you're saying mosquitoes don't sweat like we do?
No, they don't.
We just sweat when we see them.
Yeah, we sweat when we see them, but it'd be quite frightening to see a mosquito sweat. So let's dive right back over to Jimena and Kim over there. And so everyone now knows what to do around their property. Is to take care of the stagnant water and cut what covers, ditch the density. But what do we do to protect you guys out there in San Dimas? Let's kick it off with Jimena and Kim. Either of you can jump in. Can you tell us a little bit more about what surveillance does?
Hi, so we are the ones that go out and we check for abundance. So we do this by placing traps out in the area. We have different types of traps depending on what we're targeting. And we place these out overnight. We pick them up and then we sample them and we test them so that we could see if there is any virus or any diseases that are in the area. We also, once we gather all this data, we share it with everybody. That way, all of the departments within the district and the community know what's going on in the area. So I think Pablo's gonna help me out right here. I have a video to show you guys that kind of shows a lapse of our trapping for the year.
Let me get it up for you. Give me 1 second.
How exciting. Is this our first video that we're showing on the Bike Pack Tour?
Well, while he's getting the video up, this is a rotating bottle collector trap. And what it does is it rotates over time in order to collect the data that Jimena is about to talk to you about. And it has carbon dioxide, which we exhale, which we use as the attractant. And as the mosquitoes or black flies are attracted to this trap, it rotates over time and it collects the samples in these bags. So once the samples are collected, we identify them in the lab, and then we're able to produce the data, which Jimena is going to go over right now.
So here's the video, Jimena. I think can you see the whole thing?
Yes. So this is a time-lapse video showing our weekly data from the beginning of the season. So our season starts around March up until June. So it's only about 3 months worth of data in this video clip, but you can kind of tell when you look at it, the circles are very, very small at the beginning. That's when it's preseason, it's a little bit cooler out. And then as we go through the season, those circles start to get larger and larger, which starts telling us that the populations or the amounts of mosquitoes that are in the area are growing. And as as more mosquitoes are present, then we can direct our operational forces to tell us, hey, like this particular area has a lot more mosquitoes. So if you look here, like that, the dot that's at the very top near Glendora, that's a lot smaller than the one that's near Benelli Park. So we would be able to tell our operational forces, hey, there's more mosquitoes in this particular area of the district. That way they can go out and they can focus their attention in the area where more of our resources are needed.
That is very cool. Thank you, Jimena. If you're just tuning in, this is the Bite Back Tour in the city of San Dimas. We are broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. also on our website. If you have any questions at all or any comments, please drop them into the comment box. Big shout out to Chantel Mejenes in Mexico. Good afternoon there. And actually, let me just drop in this question he has for us. And really quick, we also got Fred, who just joined us too. Fred, this might be maybe a question for you if you can answer it. If not, I'll open it to the group. But Fred is part of our operations team. And Chantel is asking, what bacteria do we use for biological control? Does anyone want to take that one? So in terms of bacteria, what I understand is we use a lot of Bacillus thuringiensis, BTI or BS. Those are our biggest bacteria that we use to target the larval forms of the mosquito in the water. It's rated well for organic farms, and that's our primary mechanisms of controlling for larvae if we ever need to do any kind of treatments for mosquitoes out in the water.
Yeah, so we love BTI. It's great. We don't have a lot of resistance. And there's some formulations out there that have just the BS or just the BTI or a combination of both, depending on what species we're targeting out in the field.
Thank you. Yeah, perfect.
Jimena, could you describe a little bit what resistance is when you say resistance?
Sure. So if you kind of think about germs, for example, that's a very common thing that you can think about. So if you take antibiotics, you will kill the majority of those viruses that you're trying to kill when you take those antibacterial. So you are not killing every single one of them. You're only killing the ones that are affected by that medicine that you're taking. So then those few ones that are not affected by that medicine tend to reproduce. And over time, if you keep using the same material, those that are not affected by that is going to replace the population that was affected by it. So it's the same thing when we talk about pesticide resistance. When we use a certain product, it's only going to be effective for certain organisms that are out there, and others are not going to be affected by it. So if we use it too much, those populations are going to be replaced by the ones that are not affected. And we don't want that to happen because that means that we have less products to kill these mosquitoes with, and they're tougher to kill. And so when there is a disease out there, we want to make sure that we can actually battle them and that we can knock down these populations.
That's a very good point. And I think this is a good reminder for everyone in San Dimas that before you reach for that spray can, think about the potential resistance you're building in the insects in the environment. It makes it harder for us.
Hey, Levy?
Yeah, go ahead, Fred.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, because of the resistance, we do use other methods such as spinosad and methoprene products to rotate when we're treating to avoid the resistance.
That's a very good point. Yep. So all the more reason for homeowners to at least take the long-term approach. Don't reach for that can of spray. Tip out the water, toss out the containers, and it'll help out a lot, especially with the biodiversity around your home, to make sure you have all the beneficial insects visiting you instead of the nasty ones like the mosquitoes. Kim, Jimena, is there anything else you'd like to add before we move on to Fred regarding any kind of stuff that you guys do?
I think we're good. Yeah.
All right. That's such a cool contraption, by the way. It's so high tech what you guys can do now with getting data, especially for the black flies.
Correct. We, by using something like this, we can identify what times certain insects are the most active. And that really helps us know like when we should do some sprays or treatments. That way we can target the insect and actually get them at the time that they're the most active. So yeah, these kinds of tools definitely help us do a lot more stuff and be more technical with the work that we do.
And this is only one of our traps that we have. This one specifically is for host seeking. So this is gonna resemble or be more of like a human being who's breathing. And so they're looking, the mosquitoes or the black flies are looking for a blood meal. And so they're gonna come here to get that blood meal and then be sucked into by the fan and collected in the bag. But we have other traps too for when they're looking to lay their eggs after they've had a blood meal, in which they would have more of a potential to have a disease inside of them. And so then we test for that too.
Awesome. Thank you for that insight. So now that we have the data from surveillance, how would you start using that, Fred, as you're in the field for operations?
Right. So when that data comes in, you know, we look, or I look at how San Dimas or what part of San Dimas have high trap counts. And when that happens, you know, I put my efforts into that area. Okay, what am I missing here? You know, I do follow up on sites that are in our system, right? If need be, you know, I partner with one of our education program assistant, and he will go, you know, do a door-to-door, leave pamphlets, just to educate, you know, the public of, hey, what's going on here, or this is what's going on here. You know, everybody, you know, if you have stagnant water, please toss it. You know, any kind of containers that are not in use, you know, if you don't need them, again, same thing, toss them. All this in efforts to avoid any more mosquito breeding.
And then Fred, I understand that there was a swimming pool flyover where we looked for any non-functional or non-functional and swimming pools that could be a potential risk of breeding mosquitoes. So how's that going along in San Dimas and the surrounding areas that you're in?
Not bad. You know, we have a few homes that we need to go visit. Send out a reminder of, hey, you know, your swimming pool is not up to par. We will visit them if need be. Again, we will, you know, treat the pool and work with the homeowner or resident, you know, to get the problem solved, whether it be a functional pool, a complete empty pool, or you know, if the pool qualifies, we might add some fish for a longer term solution.
That's a great point. And the pictures that Pablo's sharing just shows the type of pools that Fred might come across. I guess the two things that are absolutely needed for a pool to be in working order is making sure it's chlorinated and has a working pump to circulate that water. Is that right, Fred?
That's correct.
All right. And for residents in San Dimas, if you do notice any swimming pools that are out of order in your neighborhood, you can always contact us to report that in our tip line at sgvmosquito.org or call us at 626-814-9466. And if you're just watching, this is the Bite Back Tour in the city of San Dimas. We're joined by, I'm looking on my screen here, Ali. We have Jimena and Kim from surveillance. The first time we had two people from one department show up on screen from surveillance. So you guys are trendsetters there with the trap.
We're we depend a lot on teamwork, so.
Absolutely. I think all of us students to make sure we are battling the mosquitoes effectively. And we also got Pablo and Christian in this call here. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what communication can do as well, especially educating the young minds of San Dimas. So we got the data, we know we're out there protecting folks in the field, but what do we do for the students, Christian?
Yeah, getting the young minds to help us is so important. They are always like such observant and inquisitive little humans. So getting them on our team is really important. And so some of the ways that we do that is through our EcoHealth programs. So our EcoHealth programs are NGSS aligned programs that are for K through 12 students. And so we have our classroom programs. Our classroom programs are, you know, they could be in person or also virtual, depending on, you know, how your school is handling this upcoming year. And we just do presentations about mosquitoes and vector-borne disease. And we also have career presentations to get students to start envisioning themselves and what they could be doing in the future.
In a bite back.
Really exciting. And then we also have our citizen science programs. And so in our citizen science programs, students actually get to use the tools that vector ecologists like Kim and Jimena use to monitor mosquito populations. So we give them tools like pipettes and cups, and this is for our Operation Mosquito Grid. They get this OV position cup where a mosquito who's looking to lay their egg, an Aedes mosquito, looking to lay their egg would go and lay the egg inside of that cup. And then students would, leave it out for a week. And then in a week, they check to see if there are any eggs. And based on our students last year, they were able to find some eggs. So that's a student submission. And you can see that there's a little line. It's a little bit difficult to see, but thank you, Pablo. Right there, there's a line of eggs that an Aedes mosquito laid. And then, and we even have a close-up. So that's what Aedes mosquito eggs look like under the microscope. They lay them one by one on these containers. And so we were able to identify them in the city of West Covina. So we try to get this data, get students to, provide the data to us, and also help our surveillance teams know where these mosquitoes are living. So students can sign up, or teachers can sign up their students for this. We are currently accepting, we have some slots left for fall. So teachers, please go on vectoreducation.org. As you can see, this is our website, and just sign up. We will be starting this in fall, so you can start getting prepared for the school year and booking our programs. And I know teachers, you're thinking, oh, this sounds like more work, but we will do all of the heavy lifting for you. You just got to sign up and be ready to learn with your students.
That
And
sounds
Christian,
like fun.
just a quick shout out since we have Jimena with us today. The grid program was actually a collaboration, correct, between surveillance, specifically Jimena, and our education specialist?
Yes, Jimena was the one who started this program under a different name, right? 80s Super Cup. Is that right, Jimena?
Correct, yes. Levy had a lot to do with the idea behind it, but I put together a lot of the data and the analysis and the actual program itself. But you guys came up with it. I'll give you guys your credit.
Like you said before, Jimena, it's a teamwork. So we
It
came
is.
together.
Yes.
Yeah, started out with 80 Super Cup as part of your brainchild, and then we took it up and continued it forward for you. So, and then you're still giving us some more input as we go along. So yeah, for those of you watching, this is the Bite Back Tour in the city of San Dimas. We just talked about a great citizen science program for you educators out there. If you're an educator somewhere in San Gabriel Valley, you don't have to be in San Dimas. Definitely visit vectoreducation.org, and we can make arrangements to come out to you. If you run a day camp, if you're a scout leader, definitely consider this as a great science learning experience for students.
Yes, it's not just for teachers. So day camp, city programs, troop leaders, if you lead a Boy Scout or Girl Scout, you can also contact us, and we will have some interactive presentations for your troop or your
Absolutely.
group.
And shout out to the city of Zusa. I see you liked our video on Twitter, so hello there, city of Zusa. Let's go ahead and move on to repellent. Okay, so at the very beginning, we talked about West Nile virus being an issue here in San Gabriel Valley. We talked a little bit more about how to get rid of the stagnant water, reduce. What was the phrase, Ali, about the vegetation?
It was ditch the density and cut what covers.
That's right. Ditch the density and cut what covers around your home, because those nice shaded resting spots are perfect for these mosquitoes escaping this heat. Now let's talk about repellent. Ali, I think you have a demonstration for us on how to properly apply repellent, correct?
Yeah, I do. I can show you guys how to apply repellent, especially now that we're all spending more time outside in the sun. One of the questions I get asked a lot are, what happens first? Do I put repellent on first, or do I put on sunscreen first? And the answer is you put sunscreen on first. So you apply that normally, and then you would just wait till it dries, and then you can add your repellent. Now, the key to repellent is to get one of the 4 CDC recommended ingredients. Those are IR 3535, the keratin, DEET, and my personal favorite, oil of lemon eucalyptus. And that's actually what I'm going to try on right here. So as you can see in the front here, it has this list of ingredients, and you want to make sure that your active ingredient is one of those 4 that I just mentioned. And then the way you apply is you apply to exposed skin, and then you just read the directions, and you don't want to overuse it. So I think 2 sprays is good, as it says in my label. And then you're good to go. So you just apply it evenly to all exposed skin, and you want to make sure that you don't forget the neck. And when also applying to your neck and face, you don't want to spray your face, you want to spray your hand. That way
Does
you
that
can
go the
apply.
same for kids too? Should I have, say, my kid close his or her eyes and not breathe while I spray his or her face?
No, you do not want to do that. You
Okay.
want to make sure that you apply into your own hands as an adult, and then you can apply better. Yeah,
I think
especially
Jimena
with
has
little
her,
kids.
I think Jimena
yeah.
has her hand up.
Yes, Jimena.
Okay, we're gonna head out. We have a few more traps to pick up over in San Dimas, so we got to get going. But thank you so much for having us today.
Absolutely.
Bye.
So thank you for joining
Bye.
us in the city of San Dimas, Jimena and Kim from Surveillance. All right, we'll go ahead.
Allie, I have a question for you. What does the
Yes.
percent mean on the percent formula? I've seen like 25% or 95%. What does that mean on the
Oh, cool. Yeah, great question. So that basically means that oh gosh, there's a bug in my face.
Put on your repellent.
I know, my gosh. I did spray, but yeah, I don't know what that was, but it's back. Okay. Anyways, I'm being attacked. Sorry, so your question, sorry. So it's telling you the percentage of the ingredient, meaning that it's identifying what your active ingredient is, and it also gives you a better idea of how much you're going to want to use it for. Basically, it'll also let you know when you need to reapply. For example, if it says every 6 hours, it's probably going to be a higher percentage rate. And you want to measure that based on what activity you're doing. For example, I've been out here for an hour. I'm probably going to want to use about 30%, right? Which will cover me for about 4 hours, which is pretty cool. So you don't want to overdo it. For example, like if you're going to go out to, the park, you probably don't want to use 80%. That's really excessive. And you definitely do not want to reapply. So just as long as you read the label and follow the directions, you are good to go.
Yeah, and I actually, when I went on a trip to the Caribbean, there were so many Aedes mosquitoes everywhere. And so one of the things that I definitely didn't want to forget my repellent, because I was going to beat those mosquitoes. That was what I was determined to do. So one of the things that I did was I actually started pairing putting on repellent with when I was taking a shower. So I knew that after I took a shower, I would put on the repellent, just because I wanted to be protected. That we had mosquitoes that were coming into our room, like our hotel room. So I wanted to be protected as soon as I could. And that made it so that it was really easy to remember to just have it on all the time and not be, freaking out while I'm at lunch thinking about how I didn't apply repellent. So that's a really good, just pairing it with something that you are going to, do. Maybe it's putting on your shoes before you go outside or right after you take a shower, whatever it is.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
In fact, for those of you watching, this is the Bite Back Tour in the city of San Dimas. And I know that San Dimas recently announced, or not recently, last month announced quite a few concert series or music in the park at the Civic Center Park. And it's usually held, I think, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So you want to look for a repellent that's about, look at the label. They'll usually tell you how long it lasts, but generally speaking, about 30 to 50%. Or if you don't want something that high, you can still get something that's 5% and just reapply every half hour or so, depending on what the label says. So make sure you enjoy the music out there, San Dimas, but make sure you also stay bite-free.
Yes. And oh, go ahead, Allie.
Oh, okay, I was just gonna say, also make sure that you guys, when you're buying them and everything, you can get them pretty much anywhere. So any gardening section, any outdoor section, you can get them. All of the bigger stores will most likely have something. And then if not, you can always order online. So you have plenty of time to prepare to have a really awesome summer.
All right, thank you for that, Ali. We're nearing the end of our bite back tour, but I want to pivot over to Pablo, who's in the field. We initially, starting out this tour stop, talked about these mosquito traps you find on the shelves. Do they actually work? So, Pablo, can you just show us a little bit of what you have out there?
Yeah, so I'm actually here by our pond with all our mosquito fish in there. But I have set up our, so just to be clear, these are not the traps that we use here. These are the more traps that anybody can find out in the store. We see them commonly at any of our major department stores and whatnot. And they use, or the box claims to use different ways to quote unquote trap mosquitoes in your yard. This specific trap has a fan, and it says to also release CO2 through heating up a metal. And then you're also trapping, and that also has the light that is supposed to attract mosquitoes. But like we've all been learning, that mosquitoes are attracted to the CO2 that we exhale. So we want to see what we will trap in this mosquito trap. So we're going to hang it up here for about a week. So hopefully by the next bite back tour, we're going to dump out, because here in the section at the bottom, supposed to keep whatever is going to be trapped in there. And we're going to have it set up, and then we're going to see what we find in the trap, if we do find any mosquitoes or if we see any other insects.
And just to let everyone know, there was a study from the University of Delaware, and they took a look at the insects that are trapped in these kind of devices that you can buy off the shelves. And they found that nearly 99.9% of the insect traps are beneficial insects to the environment. But that's out on Delaware. They have a whole different species of insects out there. So we're gonna put this one up, let it run for a week and see what we capture. So if you're as interested as we are about these bug zappers slash capturers, tune in next week at this same time at 11 a.m. Wherever you're watching, and we will be able to reveal what we have found. So this pretty much ends the bite back tour in the city of San Dimas. I hope it was fun, educational, and just overall relaxing. I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick round around the virtual room here for any last remarks from folks. So Pablo, any last words or anything for our residents in San Dimas?
Mainly just to hopefully we'll be able to see what we find in the mosquito trap that I set up right there, and kind of give more information in regards to some of these traps. Do they really work? What are we trapping? Because these are not cheap. But one thing that is free and cheap is tipping out stagnant water and tossing out sources, because that's what we know is 100% effective against mosquitoes. So once again, make sure you tune in to our bite back tour next week to see what we catch in our trap.
All right, and then Fred, anything for San Dimas?
Just reiterating what Pablo said, right? If you see any stagnant water, toss it. As you're walking around your neighborhoods, if you notice, a green swimming pool, call our tip line. Anything that will contribute to mosquito breeding, let us know, and we'll be out there, to do our inspections.
Sounds good. Thank you for all the work you do. Despite the heat, the city of San Dimas, I'm sure, really appreciates all the work you've done so far with them. Let's go ahead and go to Christian.
Yeah, San Dimas educational leaders, go ahead and get on our website, vectoreducation.org, once again, and just book one of our programs. And I also have one more thing that I wanted to add, since I was talking about traveling. Just now that we are, the world is opening up a little bit, make sure that you're checking the CDC travel guidance, just to see where you're going, and make sure that you're packing your hand sanitizer and your repellent to protect yourself and the people you love and the people you're traveling with. So
awesome. Thank you for that, Christian. And finally, Ali.
Hey everyone, just want to make sure that you're always taking your repellent with you and applying it according to the direction label. It is super important, just like Christian said, with if you pack your hand sanitizer and you've got your mask, you also have to have your repellent. That way we can all stay safe and be super healthy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ali. And that rounds out our tour stop in the city of San Dimas. Thank you all for watching. And remember, everyone, stay healthy and stay bite free.